The other time, we started with comprehension, how to answer comprehension questions. And then I told you comprehension of WIPE or UTME are different from what you were experiencing in the primary school and lower secondary schools, where ordinarily they would ask you to read a passage and answer the questions, and such passages are so simple that without using any logical reasoning, deduction, inferences, the answers are there in the passages. Being through sitting on the box, making fire, etc. But at WIPE level, you need to think. You need to get to the mind of the writer of that passage before you be able to answer reasonable questions or give reasonable answers on the questions asked. I told you what to do. You read the passage very quickly, but carefully. You scan through the questions that are set on the passage. That will give you a clearer idea of what the passage is about. Then you go back to the passage again, reading for the second time, and focusing your attention on the relevant points. Then you begin to give the answers based on one, logical reasoning, which I said the ability to arrive at a conclusion based on the premises of an argument. Whenever it rains, I don't go out. It is raining outside now. Therefore, I'm not going out. That is logical reasoning. That conclusion there is based on the premises. Then, deductions, inferences, critical evaluations, and the rest. I also give you some listening comprehension passages which you answer questions from, you remember. Then I left figures of speech alone, that we'll do that during the next class. So that's where we are going this afternoon. The phase of oxymoron, it is an expression in which oxymoron is an expression in which two opposite views are placed side by side. Two opposite views are put side by side. For instance, the bride shed joyful tears on her wedding day. Joyful tears. The bride shed joyful tears on her wedding day. It is an open secret that Mary is pregnant. It is an open secret that Mary is pregnant. Other examples are painful laughter. Ordinarily, what is joyful is not supposed to be in tears. Open is the opposite of secret. Painful and laughter. They are all examples of oxymoron. Oxymoron. Innuendo. That's another one. Innuendo. Innuendo is a species of irony. Innuendo is a species of irony. This is an expression in which an offensive statement is said in a less offensive way. An offensive statement is said in a less offensive way. Now, if I say John always comes first from the rear. John always comes first from the rear. There is no better way of saying John is dog than what is on the board. But it is less offensive to say he always comes first. So, not from the up, but from the bottom. That is an innuendo. Some years ago, many years before, I'm not sure where you were that time, around 1988, when Babangida said all those who were interested in becoming Nigerian president should come and register. He was the head military head of state at that time. He said those who were interested in becoming the president should come and register. The first person to register at that time was Ojukwu, the man who was said to have caused the Nigerian Civil War. So when he registered, the following day, the founder of a Mayflower School in Kenya, that was Dr. Taisho Lari, was a writer for Tribune newspaper at that time. So he wrote something about Ojukwu, which is a typical example of a innuendo. He said, if Nigerians are looking for the presidential candidate with the highest number of disqualifications, Ojukwu is our man. Did he say Ojukwu is not qualified? If Nigerians are looking for the man with the highest number of disqualifications, Ojukwu is our man. That is a typical example of innuendo. He had not attacked Ojukwu in any way. He did not disqualify Ojukwu with his mouth. But if that was the kind of person Nigerians wanted, no problem. Let's go and vote for him, etc., etc. So when you say so, it's similar to euphemism, but this one very offensive, but in a pleasant way, etc., etc. Porn. I think I also wrote porn on the board. Yes. Porn is a play on word. Play on word. One of the devices used by a writer in literature is this figure of speech, porn, to make the sound have an effect. If I say, I saw a saw. That saw I saw was a saw. I saw a saw. That saw I saw was a saw. Now consider this saw to mean seed, and this one to mean blade. Okay? Consider this one to mean wound. I saw a wound. That wound that I saw was a wound of saw blade. I saw a saw. That saw I saw was a saw. That's play on word. I'm playing on three words here. The first one is saw. The second one is saw. And the third one is saw. This is the past tense of see, wound, and blade. So when you interpret with that method, you understand better. Usually used in poetry. If we're talking about literature students now, then we can be talking about alliteration, assonance, consonants, and other rhymes in literature. But for English language, I think pun is okay for you. Among those that I wrote on the board on that, is there anyone I've not mentioned? Yes. Which one? Onomatopoeia. Good. This is a word that sounds like its meaning. Onomatopoeia Take note of the spelling. Onomatopoeia. The roaring of the lion. And how does the lion sound? That is roaring. The booming of a gun. How does the gun sound? So the sound is like its meaning. The hooting of the horn. Yes, hooting of the horn. The splattering of the rain on the roof. Splattering. When the rain just starts, and very heavy rain for that matter, how does it sound on the roof? Splatters. The word splattering is onomatopoeic in nature. Even look at the word cough. Cough. How does cough itself sound? The yawning. When you yawn. They are all onomatopoeic in nature. Any other one? In the exams, they will ask you questions directly or indirectly on figures of speech. I'll give you some few examples. There is this comprehension passage of WAEC. So that may be the last listening passage I'll give you. So I will extend the questions under this one to figures of speech. Our mother was returning to the village after many years that he had left, having become a rich businessman in the town. Our mother is also Leah, according to that passage. He was returned to the village this time around when his kinsmen sent to him in Lagos that his father's health was failing and needed serious attention. On his journey back to the village, his mind was ruminating about the darkness that would fall at night and the colored water he was going to drink and perhaps bath with. Against all odds, he arrived in the village. And in the evening, a meeting was held between Oleha and his kinsmen, where he was asked to pay his own part of his father's hospital bills. He did that, and he had a wonderful night. Oleha was anxious to go back to the town because life in the village was not that comfortable for him. So early in the morning he woke up and was bathing at the improvised bathroom beside the house, using his wrapper to cover the entrance. And after covering all the part of his body, including his face with soap leather, a lunatic from the village arrived where Oleha was bathing and removed Oleha's wrapper without Oleha knowing. Upon opening his eyes, Oleha started running after the madman in his nude. And the villagers, on seeing this, came around to hold Oleha. They tied his hands and his legs and took him to the village's foremost occult healer, that another lunatic had broken loose again. That is the end of the passage. Are you ready for the questions? 1. Mention 2 facilities that are lacking in Oleha's village, according to that passage, using logical reasoning, deduction, inferences, critical evaluation to arrive at your answer. Mention 2 facilities. These facilities were not directly mentioned in the passage, but you could use your own logical reasoning deductions and others as learned to arrive at electricity and water. Good water is not benefit.
Like big trust or public.
No. She nearly got there, but the second answer was not valid option. But you started to try again.
Lack of Bible water. Lack of Bible water and electricity.
The two frustrations that are lacking in real village are: one, electricity; two, pipe-borne water. Pipe-borne water. Okay? Don't just say good water. Pipe-borne water. That is question one. Question B. What was the mission which Oleha had for going to the village? Oleha's mission. You listen to the passage now. Okay? That boy at the back? No. Okay, you. To pay fees to his sick father? No.
To honor the location of his case when about his
No.
Because it had been long when he went last.
No. Not right. He went to pay his own share of his father's hospital bill. He went to pay his own share of his father's hospital bill. That was the vision to the village. Is the irony in the entire story? What is the irony in the entire story?
The irony is that people thought Oleha was mad and he was not mad.
Excellent. The way she answered the question is what is important. Don't just say they thought Oleha was mad. That answer is incomplete, will not attract any mark. The evaluation now. Was Oleha mad? That's one because what was Oleha mad? No. Okay, he's mad. Depends on how you can explain yourself. So, to this particular one, there is no rigid answer. There's no this one is correct, this one is wrong. It depends on how you're able to structure it. Somebody may say, if I only have shoes, I'll call somebody from inside to bring another wrapper. Somebody will say, he will use his hand to cover his fabric pack and quickly run inside. It depends on your choice and the way you are able to structure it. Is that clear? Yes. All right. I will not leave my wife in 1 million years. What figure of speech is that? I will not leave my wife in 1 million years. That's a hyperbole. They couldn't have lived up to that number of years. Two questions are usually asked in this aspect. They will say, what figurative expression is this? And the second one will be, what does it mean? Be very careful in answering this. What does it mean, does not mean? What does hyperbole mean? What does that expression mean in that passage? So I will not leave my wife in 1 million years is hyperbole. What it means, I will not leave my wife forever. For as long as I live. That's the meaning. Then the other one. What is the irony in the psychologist's, in Mr. Joe's reply to the psychologist? When he said, I will not leave my wife in 1 million years. And the psychologist put on a knowing smile. There is an irony there. What is that irony? You said I've told you passage before, or you forgot it. You are trying to say something. He consulted the psychologist to teach him how to frustrate his wife to divorce him. But after following all the strategies the psychologist recommended, after 3 months, the psychologist phoned Mr. Joe, I'm sure by now your wife will have gone. And the person who wanted to divorce his wife said, I will not leave my wife in 1 million years. And the psychologist smiled. The question is, what is the irony in that answer? I won't tell you the answer indirectly.
Yes.
The same wife Mr. Joe wanted to divorce has now become a wife. He will not live in 1 million years. That is it. So, if you are answering comprehension questions, be very straight to the point. You don't need to beat about the bush. Like question, like answer. By the time you allow extraneous materials to jeopardize the original answer, the examiner will award 0. The question is, why was Oliha returning to the village? The simple answer is, Oliha was returning to the village to pay his father's hospital bill. But as a candidate, if you now begin to say, Oliha had left the village for 25 years and is now returning to pay his father's hospital bill. What's the relevance of Oliha had left the village for 25 years? In the question asked, if that part of answer that is not relevant jeopardizes the main point, the examiner will award 0. And don't give 2 answers where 1 is required. The marking strategy is, if one of the answers is right, the other one is wrong, the examiner will award 0. For example, Oliha was returning to the village to pay his father's hospital bill and to also see the village after many years. The second part is irrelevant. In the case of Mr. Joe, why did he consult the psychologist? Rather than going straight forward to say he wanted to divorce his wife, he decided to say, the psychologist being a friend of Mr. Joe, he wanted to have a chat with him, and that aspect is not relevant. So, in comprehension, we'll say that. The question says, were the 2 children twins? This is a polar question. Yes, no. Instead of saying yes or no, you said they wore the same type of clothes. How relevant is that one to the question asked? That is by the way. I taught you lexical meaning and contextual meaning. Where the examiner says, replace each of the following words with another word or phrase that will mean exactly the same thing in the passage. When you are making your choice of words that will replace the underlined ones, don't answer this area in isolation. Go back to the passage. See the way it is used. Because some of those words are not used lexically, they are used contextually. I give you an example. If I say, Jane became a dog in Italy, and they have underlined dog for you, you choose to use lexical meaning to replace this one. You now end up having Jane became a 4-legged domestic animal used for hunting in Italy. 0. But when you look at the environment, this is derogative use of word. Dog there is representing something bad in terms of Jane's behavior or source of life. Be very careful in choosing. And the examiner is not strictly telling you to use one word. So you are allowed to even use a phrase to replace it. If you cannot arrive at a word that will replace it. So then remember to read over your answers. Have enough time to do that. How do you do this? Read the question, read your answer. Read the question, read your answer. If you see that your answer is not relevant or directly relating with the question, guess that you have got 0 already in that one. Why did John drop from school? I said there were many schools in John's community. How has that given an answer to how or why he dropped from school? And again, finally, avoid ambiguous sentences as your answers as much as possible. I'll give you 2 examples. When I was teaching types of sentences, I said an ambiguous sentence is a sentence that can be interpreted in different ways. There was this passage on health workers who visited the village. They got there, they were telling them to practice family planning to reduce the number of children they will give birth to. And one of the villagers, Adisa, who just returned from the city, challenged the health workers. Why they will be telling them that? Because their forefathers, who had many wives and children, were able to feed them. Whereas Adisa, that was challenging the health workers, was living in one-room apartment in Lagos with 7 children and 2 wives. His children were dressing to school in Tata uniform. One was walking to school in barefoot, not having any sandal to wear to school. And he had a mouth to even tell health workers to stop educating the villagers to practice a family planning dress. One of the questions asked that year, he said, what was the mission of the health workers to the villagers? Many candidates got that question wrong. Did not get the answer. Because many said the health workers came to talk to the people about family planning. Ordinarily, you may fall a victim of that. They came to talk to people about family planning. There is no substance in that answer. The question is, what did they come there to tell them? To shun family planning or to practice family planning? They would have come to tell them to shun family planning. After all, some religions that I don't want to mention, they are against family planning. They believe for as long as God is still giving you, you should continue to multiply. So when the examiner now says, what was the mission? Be specific. They came there to talk to them to practice family planning. Correct answer. Another example of where an ambiguous sentence will score 0 is in the area of a summary, where the particular year they said in 5 sentences, 1 for each, summarize the factors that can prolong the lifespan of man. In 5 sentences, 1 for each, summarize the factors that can prolong the lifespan of man. And many of the kind, man's lifespan can be prolonged by doing good things. What's the answer in that one? By doing good things. What I consider as good things may not be good things to you. A smoker of cigarette will tell you that early in the morning, taking a stick of cigarette early in the morning is very good for him, because he will go to the toilet and have it in an easy way. Whereas smokers are liable to die young. So, by doing good things. Like what? So be specific. Man must eat good quality food. Man must go for regular medical checkup. Man must engage. This is another one. Man must exercise. All those who know that answer go 0. Man must exercise. No. Scientists or medical practitioners will tell you only moderate exercise is good for you. At my age, if somebody says I should jog to laugh and walk, jog back. The correct answer should be man must engage in moderate physical exercise. You must also name that exercise. We have mental exercise, we have physical one. So where you just say man must do exercise, you get 0. Be specific. So on that note, I want to say bye-bye to comprehension. Have we done summary? Yes. You have a question? We have done summary. Yes. Are you sure? Yes. And you still remember very well? All right. Any write-up, the first thing the examiner would do is to write the introduction. The introduction. The introduction is the gate to the entire passage. And after the introduction, you see the body of the work. And in every paragraph, there's something we call topic sentence. It is topic sentence that is harboring the point the examiner is asking you to look for. Once you can identify topic sentence in every paragraph, you are good to go. Can I give you an example?
Yes, sir.
And you tell me what the topic sentence is. All right. Among the causes of falling standard of education in Banka, which is a republic on its own, was mass promotion of students from one class to another. The government, in its policy, stated that not more than 2% of the population of the class will repeat. Therefore, school administrators, whether they like it or not, must move students en masse to the next class, irrespective of their performances. So only those who actually fail woefully will repeat a class. But there is a problem ahead. A time is coming in Banka when a graduate will not be able to construct a simple sentence. I'm done with that paragraph. You are now asking, what is the main cause of of falling standard of education in Banka? Mass promotion. If you take mass promotion from that paragraph, every other thing only illustrates what mass promotion is causing. Are you getting me? So, in every paragraph, there is a topic sentence. Once you're able to identify that topic sentence, you are good to go. I taught you the steps to follow a writing summary that you should read carefully, read the question as a guideline, read the passage again, underlining the main points that are relevant to your answer, then write down the answers. I went ahead to tell you the rules that govern summary writing. And one of them is that you must not lift the answers verbatim from the passage. The penalty for lifting the answers verbatim is to award 0. You must be able to write the summary answers in your own words. And why is magnanimous enough to even say that where there is a word that you cannot replace with your own word, or there is a phrase which you cannot replace with your own word, you are allowed to use it as used in the passage, but all other words in that sentence will be of your own. For instance, one of the causes of malnutrition is insufficient intake of balanced diet. If you cannot replace balanced diet with another word, or you cannot replace malnutrition with another word, you can use either malnutrition, balanced diet, but replace others. For example, the examiner says in 3 sentences, 1 for summarize the cause of malnutrition. You can say malnutrition is caused by inadequate intake of good quality food. That has replaced balanced diet. If it is malnutrition, you cannot change. Malnutrition is caused by so. Or so you are allowed to use it. Not that everything must be changed completely. No, it's not compulsory. Some keywords there will still be used. Again, when you are changing to your own word, don't overchange it. If you have changed so much so that you have derailed from the real point made by the writer of the passage, the answer will apply 0 or the same. 2. Write your answers in complete sentences. Is one of the problems candidates are facing in answering summary questions. If you have read the chief examiner's report on why students fail summary in the exam, this is one of the reasons. Because the marking guide stipulates that any answer that is not written in a complete sentence should be awarded half of the allotted mark. Should be awarded half of the allotted mark. And the examiner goes further to say that this is not in prejudice of other penalties. Meaning, I've told you, I've asked you in 3 sentences, one for each, summarize the causes of untimely death among men. And you stated it, going into risky professions. That's not a complete sentence. A sentence must have a subject and a predicate. That is not a sentence. That is not a complete sentence. So the examiner will award half of the allotted mark. If the spelling of your dangerous is wrong, the examiner will ring it again, minus half. That is the meaning of it. This is not in prejudice of other penalties. Which means, apart from penalizing you for not writing a complete sentence, if there's anything that is still punishable in that answer, the examiner should go ahead and punish you for it. So learn to write in complete sentence. But the marking guide is also lenient by saying that answers will be attached to, then the examiner should award full marks. For instance, the causes of malnutrition include colon, Roman figure 1, prolonged illness. Roman figure 2, insufficient intake of balanced diets. You know, with the way I structure the preamble, we can easily attach each of the answers to that preamble, and that will make a complete sentence. When you're able to do that very well, not just anyhow, the examiner will award you full mark. But I prefer you write complete sentences. With the rest of your answer, we still not make a complete sentence. The examiner will continue to penalize. And again, where something is wrong with the preamble, which you have written, maybe what is wrong with the preamble attracts 1 mark, maybe due to extraneous material. Extraneous material in summary attract -1. If -1 is to be taken from that preamble due to writing unnecessary details, fine. That 1 mark will be deducted from each of the answers you attach to that preamble. Because you said it, that preamble is part of your original answer. Why, therefore, will the penalty not be extended to each of the answers? So to play safe, practice as much as possible and be able to write independent answers. That is, each of your summary answers is a complete sentence, complete sentence, complete sentence. Man must eat good quality food. Man must go for medical checkup. Man must engage in moderate physical exercise. Man must engage in mental exercise, etc., etc. When you're able to avoid losing marks, anyhow. Again, another rule of summary is that your summary answers must be brief. When you give examples or you explain your points or you engage in repetition, if not too long, the examiner will be deducting -1, -1, -1. But when this is too long, the examiner will award 0 straight away. That's when the extraneous material jeopardizes the original answer, the mark is 0. For example, said man must eat balanced diets like calories, proteins, carbohydrates, etc., etc. Now, from where you wrote like, the examiner will underline it. -1. But if after saying like calories, you desire to explain calories, carbohydrate, you desire to explain carbohydrate, if possible, because you are scientists, you even know the formula for carbohydrate, put it there. You are not doing all this to impress the examiner, but to attract 0 to yourself. Again, in summary, no matter how much you know on the passage, your personal opinions are not allowed. Maybe there are some points which you already knew. I remember when I wrote my GC, I was a student of health science. In those days, either biology or health science. I chose health science. And one of the topics in health science that time, causes of tooth decay. And the GC I wrote that year was on causes of tooth decay. When I opened it, I said, with this one, I will never feel why. When I read it, all what they wrote in that passage were different from what they taught us as causes of tooth decay. If I decide to write those ones I believed were even professional courses, the examiner would have won 0. For instance, we are aware that one of the causes of tooth decay is eating too much of sweets with your teeth. Good. Sugary things with your teeth can cause tooth decay. Scientifically proven, standard. But you have read the passage. That point was never mentioned. Don't, in your own wisdom, put it. Cracking hard objects with your teeth can cause tooth decay. If it is not in the passage, don't put it. If you do, the examiner in the marking guide will only write out points that are from that passage. And whoever is marking will mark strictly in accordance with that marking guide. So while your point is not there, you will award 0. Finally, students normally ask on whether to number their summary or not. Those days when they would just say, reduce this passage from 400 words to 80 words, what will you number there? But today, they will give you question A. In 3 sentences, 1 for each, summarize the causes of road traffic accidents. So you write A, each of your answers, Roman figure 1, overspeeding causes road accident, road traffic accident. Roman figure 2, dangerous overtaking causes road traffic accident. Roman figure 3, bad road causes road traffic accident, etc., etc. But different from when you say no A, no B, no C. 1, 2, 3. And the numbering of the summary passage, not 1, not 2, not 3. You are asking question number A. You are writing number 1 there. If you are the examiner, you'll be looking for answer to question number A, not answer to question number 1. etc. So you need to be very smart and very careful when you are answering questions in the exam. Tomorrow, by the grace of God.